Truly chemical warfare. Truly chemical warfare. We're going to talk about a story that actually shows, well, they are spraying. I mean, it is for your safety. We're just going to spray things around you and pretty much put chemicals all in your atmosphere to make it better for you. We're going to discuss what Canada and Nova Scotia is doing, because what it does is it references exactly what we're talking about when we talk about world control. Now, the same problems that Canada and Nova Scotia is having is literally the same problems that we've seen in California and a lot out west. Well, because of these fires, we've got to do something. Instead of reforestation, instead of cleaning our forest up, let's just spray them. We'll discuss that. We're also going to talk about what Ron DeSantis just said. He's been talking about this, but now he is going full throttle ahead. Why are conservatives and Republicans not standing alongside him? Well, because they want control. I mean, that's simple as that. We'll discuss what he just said. Also, we're going to talk about an announcement that Donald Trump just did. Should not shock anybody. I mean, honestly, these things that we're talking about, we're saying, oh, good job, this is perfect. But to be honest with you, it's just common sense. We'll discuss what he said about a new policy that he put in, that even though you have places like California and other liberal areas that are not instilling in and putting it into practice, is it wrong for them to not back what the law of the land is, especially when it pertains to our miners? Also, we're going to discuss a protest, a monster protest going on right now in Manhattan. Not one American flag, and they're pushing for global intifada. And not only that, death to America. We call that freedom of speech. I don't think that's freedom of speech. That's absolutely preaching against America. Why do we allow this to happen when people like me, conservatives, get censored? And then lastly, we're going to kind of end on prepping. Because our cities are in disarray, because our states are fighting our government, because we really don't know which way is up anymore. I mean, we really don't. We're going to talk about 5 canned foods that you should have on your pantry today. For, I promise you, less than $10, you can buy the start of a prepper's pantry that will last forever, or at least 25 to 30 years. Do not be caught red-handed, because all this stuff is going to blow up and blimp up. And then you either got to have what you need or you won't. We'll discuss all this today. Let's dive in. Hey guys, welcome to our channel. Thank you so very much for being here today. If you are new, we humbly thank you for being here. We are being canceled for sure, and it's all because we're conservatives speaking on truth and common sense. The last few days we've talked, and you need to go back and watch those videos about control elements. These things are happening right before our very eyes, from both parties too. So please make sure you check out the last few videos, and also check out our other channel, Life with Colby Mack. It's my vlog channel. We just show you how we live on farm, building skills, prepping, and taking care of our family. Now let's dive into the stories of the day. First, let's talk about some of the things that's just happened. Now, we have Manhattan right now. Manhattan is having a protest. It's happened yesterday and now today. And what it is you're going to see pictures. If you go online right now, you can go to freedom.tv. You can actually go on any kind of Twitter following, and you're going to see these big rallies all happening. Talking about, just the dangers of Trump, the dangers of America, the dangers of the Jews, all this stuff. But ultimately, not one of those people are holding up American flag and patriotism. Not one of those people are saying we want America to thrive. They're not saying let's make America great. They're not even saying let's make America in our image. They're not saying that at all. They're actually saying death to America and pushing for global intifada. Now, these are the same people that are supporting, actively, aggressively supporting terror organizations in Manhattan. We're being conquered right before our very eyes, guys. That's what we've been talking about the last few days. I want to read something from Peter Thiel. Now, Peter Thiel has been looked upon as the most dangerous man in the world, too much power, all this stuff, and he very well could be, but he made a good point. And this proves exactly what I was telling you about BlackRock yesterday and the World Economic Forum, but also about this global intifada and about Islamic faith in America. Listen to this. It says, billionaire tech investor Peter Thiel has warned that the greatest threat to humanity's future is not nuclear war, it's not climate change, it's not even AI, but rather it's the emergence of global one-world governments that exploit each crisis to give them justification to seize total control. So you really have a battle between the right and left. Really, it's just good and evil. But I actually believe that the battle between this side or the Muslims, every battle is wanting control of people. Do you realize that? We talked about this the other day, about kingdoms and about leaderships and about dictators. All this comes down to is who can control you. So we always tell you to build skills, build independence, build sustainability, because what we're seeing is just what Peter Thiel just said. Not that I'm a big Peter Thiel fan, but he makes exactly the narrative that is right in front of us. Now, people will use AI, people will use the climate emergency, people will use certain things that he was talking about. He said that is not actually the threat. The threat is to make sure that we can have one person over this global rule of control. We talked about the financial part and the dangers of yesterday, dealing with BlackRock and dealing with the fact of, are we worried about the fact that now they're over the World Economic Forum, which is not over just the world. Now you have an American company over it, an American leader over it, that now controls a lot of our trade. Well, Peter Thiel is not a better guy, I don't think, but what I'm saying is he may be doing the same avenue and trying to control with Palantir and with politics. Okay, Bill Gates may be doing it with this and fake meats. The Muslims may be doing it because ultimately they will be in control, women will be subservient, and ultimately they will be in control of all populations. You see, everybody's playing for total control. Isn't it amazing as a Christian? This is the most cool, amazing thought pattern. Our leader was the King of Kings, and he came humbled, that we would accept him. Now, this is not just a spiritual video, but what I'm trying to say is, as a Christian, it shows he didn't need to try to build himself up. He was already built up because of what he did for humanity. And one day he will come back, and of course, Scripture says that we're going to see these hard times. But everybody's trying to reign over you and be over you, and all the while, none of them are looking out for your interests. They're looking out for theirs. So the situation in New York, they're literally calling for death to America. Why are we allowing these people to walk our streets? But then conservatives will be held down. Now, kind of going along the same lines of that is the control element of chemical warfare. Now, we talked about the last few days, and we've talked about spraying, we've talked about all the dangers of the farm and how farms are going to be destroyed. Now, if you remember, Nova Scotia, Canada, and those places are having wildfire problems and drought problems. So their thought pattern is to keep you out of the woods and keep you safe. Well, that's been a backfire. Do you know what they're doing now? I want you to listen to these two different articles prove my point here. I want you to listen to this. Breaking. Planes to spray glyphosate Roundup from the sky. In just 3 days, forest homes and lakes in Canada will be drenched with toxic chemicals without consent. They're already finding glyphosate in all the forest fires tore through. They're already finding glyphosate after the forest fires tore through. Fire sometimes means purity. You know how you hear that trial by fire? What it's doing is purifying whatever it's in there. It purifies diamonds. It purifies gold. It does clean up. Now, if we choose not to clean our forest, guess what? A fire comes through, cleans it up, and all of a sudden you realize the forest comes back more alive than ever, because fire is a purification. Doesn't make sense maybe to you, but that is the truth. When there's people that have a lot of brush in their grasses and their pastures, and they're trying to make it holy, they're trying to make it better quality for their cows for the next time, and trying to make a better quality ground, trying to balance the pH and trying to give it all things new, kind of feel a reset, they burn that pasture, burn that shrub, that weed, and ultimately the grass thrives. It's trial by fire. So when we see these things burning, as bad as it is, ultimately it tends to grow better. When instead of allowing it to grow, they're spraying chemicals. The first story was from Canada. Now listen to this one from Nova Scotia. Nova Scotia bans people from the forest. All the while, they're going to start spraying glyphosate. This literally is saturating the forest with Roundup. The trees will die, the land will dry, and the fires will come. This is engineered collapse. Engineered collapse. 3,500 acres will be drought-stricken, but ultimately they will be sprayed with glyphosate to keep the fires from coming back. Misty and I are very, very mindful, extremely mindful of what our kids eat. Also, this really deals with what they drink. Considering that your body is made up of 60% water, this is a big deal. That's why today I want to talk to you about Cove Pure countertop filtration system. This is something that we've had for several months, almost a year now, and it has been a game changer. You know what? The war on water is right here in front of us. Is our water safe? Is it effective to drink? They have all these chemicals in it. Cove Pure gives you all the peace of mind to know that the water you're taking in is the best quality. Up to 99% of all contaminants removed. Think about all the chemicals and all the farming, all the fertilizers, all the big businesses, all their water's leaching into the soil. Man, it makes me worry. I mean, how safe is our water? Listen to this. Harmful pesticides and chemicals like nitrates, which increase the risk of cancer, colorectal cancer, is leached right into our ground. Lead, arsenic, which have been long associated with behavioral and cognitive impairments, particularly with infants and young children. They're all linked to diseases, even like Parkinson's. And if you think these little regular pitcher filters will do all you wanted to do and protect you and your family, I'm sorry, bad news. Recent studies show that the pitcher filters like Brita only filter out 23% of arsenic from water. If you really want a clean, pure water system, you have to look at systems like Cove Pure, which filters, as I said, up to 99.9% of contaminants. You don't have to take my word for it or Cove Pure. There's a third-party study done on their system. Not only does it completely purify water, the system is compact, so it's perfect for people in smaller spaces, and I just love that. We have a lot of stuff. I mean, look, we're in a prepper's pantry now. We place it on the counter. It's just like any other small appliance, and guess what? To know that we have clean, pure drinking water for not only us, but for our family. The one thing I love about it the most is I want hot water, if I'm making tea or if I'm making coffee, it's there. You push a button. If you want cold water because you've been outside working like crazy, it's there. Push a button. Lukewarm water, however you like to drink it. Aiden hates cold water because he's got sensitive teeth. Instant, hot, or cold, just like you like it. The biggest war lately I've been talking about is on our food and on our water. This will give you peace of mind to know that your water is clean. Check with Cove Pure today. Get a $200 discount. That is a monster savings. CovePure.com/themacs. Go check them out. Thank you, Cove Pure, for sponsoring today's video. Ultimately, they're going to make a famine in this area. Ultimately, they're going to kill everything that's growing. This reminds you of times of drought and famine in biblical talking, and also even in America when we had the Dust Bowl, when people couldn't even have food grown. So we talked about people wanting death to America. We talked about control of our money. We've talked about the fact that everybody's wanting control and power. What better way to do that than to stop ableness for people to go outside and grow food? They're spraying this chemical in the air that is literally causing cancer. Do you realize that your Congress, the Republican Congress, just gave a pass to glyphosate sprayers in Bayer so they won't be signed and, won't be sued for the sprays that they put in your food because ultimately it's making people sick? They just gave them a pass, by the way. That's after years upon years upon years of lawsuits against Bayer and glyphosate Roundup makers because it was causing cancer. And now they're going to spray it in your air. Now, the reason I bring this up, that's Canada. But guess what? This same issue, Canada, if you remember, California, Oregon, and Washington all said they're going to help Canada this last time on wildfires because they said we feel like they're our brothers because they see the same problems we have. I promise you, you wait. Within just a few years, next wildfire in some of these areas, you may see the same thing happening in some of these liberal states. Be wary. Now I want to move to what Trump just did, and we act like this is a big deal and he's getting a lot of press for it, but ultimately it just makes sense. It's something he talked about and something that any normal American would think this is normal. Breaking Trump signs executive order banning any kind of surgery, gender surgery, for anyone under the age of 18 to happen in the United States. So basically what he's saying is, even though he was getting states to do this, now he comes out with a national ban to say we're not going to allow for you to do anything to an under age 18 to change and make this permanent damage to their body. You know what's so sad? Is now you're hearing mothers and fathers, these liberal areas and these big states and these big federal governments coming and pushing against him, dealing with minors getting harmed for permanent damage of their bodies. This is so sad to me. When you talk about living in a very cultish, satanic world, this scares me the most. Is because we want to make sanity out of insanity. We want to make wiseness out of foolishness. I love this statement that someone actually wrote yesterday. It said, there's 8.5 billion people in the world alive right now. 8.5 at least. 8.5 billion people in the world. 100% of that 8.5 billion people was born from a woman. There is no fakeness. You can change the names of it, but ultimately they were born from a female body. 0 from a male body. It's common sense, and this shouldn't be anything provocative. I mean, this has become a monster issue, and it's trending in the news. Nancy Pelosi's going crazy about it. Jasmine Crockett's going crazy about it. California's going crazy about it. Oregon's going crazy about it. But what he's saying is, a child should not have something permanently done to them before they're 18. I mean, my son is 17 years old, brilliant, working literally almost full time as he's waiting to get into school. His school starts next week. My son he can handle any animal that he needs to handle. He can handle a firearm. He can defense. He can take care of everything. He can do so much. He's learned how to raise his own food. He's built skills up. But he's still under 18. So he can't vote. He can't even buy a hotel room. He can't even rent a car. He cannot even buy one cigarette, which I don't want him to. He can't do any of that. He can't even get married to the girl that he's wanting to get married to for at least another year without my permission. Now, why do I say all that? Because he's underage. And even though some of those things are permanent, some of those things are not permanent at all, you're making this Trump decision a decision that is very provocative, and honestly it shouldn't. If any parents are pushing for their children to get permanently changed and damaged, you need to look at those parents a little closer and find out what kind of culture they living in. So I think this is a good move by Trump, to be honest with you, though it should be a non-event. It shouldn't even happen. We should not even be talking about this. But because of our tomfoolery in the last few years and how we have lost our way in America, this is a policy. I laughed when Matt Walsh went and did the documentary What's the Woman and that kind of thing back over in Africa. The Africans who are third world country, who have nothing, who live on dirt floors, it blew their mind that there was gender problems happening in first world countries. They're like, why would anybody think that a man could be a woman or a woman could be a man? Isn't it amazing that what we consider the third world mentality that has no education understands the most common thing that now Trump is having to push through an executive order to make sure our children are safe. Wow. Now, the last two stories I want to hit on before we actually move into the 5 cans that I think you should put on your shelf today because of the problems that we're having. I mean, we're talking about major tomfoolery here, and I keep using that word because it's just unbelievable that we're in a point where we realize how foolish we are when we allow people to chant death to America on our streets. And we call that freedom of speech, but then I'm censored. Makes no sense to me. It's amazing that we're allowing this to happen and the sprays to hit our world. I laugh because when Canada sprays, don't you think that same atmosphere that they're pushing for climate agendas is going to happen and cause problems here in America too? I mean, it makes no sense. We are becoming so much more foolish. Before we move on to what Ron DeSantis just said, listen to what just came out. And this goes back to the same situation we were talking about with women having babies. Breaking: Chinese scientists are developing the world's first pregnancy humanoid robot that is capable of giving birth to human babies using an artificial womb. This project is expected by 2026, an estimated price around $13,900. Oh, it's just $13,000. I mean, you know, if you were trying to have a baby, that's 9 months. I mean, and the hospital's $10,000 to $15,000, $20,000. So it may be cheaper just to buy a robot and have a baby in there. Remember last week I talked about this artificial womb, and everybody thought it was crazy. I mean, I got the most bad comments, but oh, that's stupid. It's happening, whether you like it or not. If they can make the role of the dad go away, which they have, father in homes is becoming very big of a minority now in America and a lot of other Western countries. Now they're saying you don't even need a mother. So ultimately, who is going to be over our children? Mother and father? No, government. The biggest players, the businesses. So this is just sad to me. Why are we this goes back to what I started off with. You talk about biblical times, you talk about satanic cults. This is cultish. When we believe that the main structure that God set up at the very first few days of time ever was male and female, and the structure of family, the structure of homes, the structure of love, and we're trying to dismantle every bit of that. Why are we allowing these people to do that? Now let's go to what Ron DeSantis just said. Something he's been talking about, but now he is really pushing it. The sad thing is, there's maybe 2 or 3 other people pushing it. That's it. No one else is actually pushing it like Ron DeSantis is pushing it. And I know he's probably setting up for a presidential bid, but I want you to listen to what he says. Simple. Every state in America needs to abolish property tax. It's almost like they have to pay rent to the government, and if they choose not to pay their rent to the government just takes it. That is wrong. We need to do something about it. People have their homes paid off, and they bought them for 30 years, and it's done. It's been paid for. But every year they have a certain amount they have to pay. And every year, because we set the value as the government to assess it different, it means it goes up because of other things that homeowner can't help. So, just like me, I just got assessed for another raise of property tax because the school needs a new gymnasium. The school needs another building. Our schools are failing, and we still want to raise our taxes. Oh, well, they need more infrastructure on this side of the road here. We need to make sure this district has it. Screw that. It's amazing that I'm already sales taxed, I'm always income taxed, I've got this federal tax, this state tax, the gas tax, the car tax, the wholesale tax, every tax, and then they need to collect property tax. What did I say at the very first of the video? It's about control. For a government who can print as much money as they want, who doesn't have a money in problem, they have a money out problem, to still take your money is a full representation of control. And that's what Ron DeSantis is calling out. He says you should not have to rent your own land. I fully agree with that. It's amazing to me. I still have yet to get my little tax return. They took more money last year than they were supposed to take out of my check and taken from me through estimated, through my farm, through all the things I do. They took too much money. I've yet to get that money back. Can I penalize the government for keeping my money? It's not how it works, is it? But son, they'll penalize you, and all of a sudden, if you choose not to pay it, they just take your land and sell it on the courthouse steps and get the next guy and bust him for property tax. You know, there's only about 5 other Republicans that's kind of talking about property tax. They make excuses. Well, I mean, we're for it, but it's up to the states, it's up to the counties. You know what it should be? It should be thrown out. Trump wants to get rid of income tax. He should get rid of property tax too. Here's a wild thought. You know how I always tell you to live below your means? Wouldn't you think that our government should do the same? Wouldn't you think that our government shouldn't be made up of multimillionaires and multi-billionaires making piles of loads of money off of you while you're struggling to buy a loaf of bread? Here we are fixing to talk about 5 canned foods that you should have, and most people are struggling to buy those canned foods because our government is pretty much ripping us a new one every time they raise our property tax. I like Ron DeSantis. I mean, again, I didn't vote in the primary for Ron DeSantis. I love Ron DeSantis and what he's doing for Florida. Would I love to see that become a national debate? You hear Vivek Ramaswamy talking about it too. Why don't we start seeing other governors talk about it? There should be no tax on its own people. Tax the people that are coming in, tax the other governments that are wanting to sell, tax the states in a way that is consumer-based tax, meaning the money that we get taxed from the state and the federal government should be if I'm wanting to buy something. If I am buying food, or if I am buying a car, if I am buying gas, okay, tax me. Because those are consumer-driven taxes, meaning I buy something and that's the only tax I should get. My money that I get, the land that I have, shouldn't be taxed just because you want to take my stuff. It's wrong. I hope more Republicans will grow a backbone and start talking like this. I'm sick of Republicans saying they're going to help Americans. And the 2 things that would help Americans the most is quit spending our money, because that means inflation would go down, and then quit taxing us to spend more of our money. That would help more Americans than ever. Just think, if they cut your property tax and your federal income tax or your state income tax, that would give automatically anywhere from a 10 to 30% raise a year in your payroll. That's life-changing there. I know this has been a longer video, but I want to list 5 things that I think everybody should have on their shelves because of the things that we're talking about, the death to America, the fact that full control, the fact that your money may be manipulated, the fact that all this stuff is happening across the world. Why don't we make sure that we're building the skills and becoming more independent? Well, if you can't build the skills yet, and that's a time thing, if you can't buy the land yet because you're worried about, buying a home, if you can't buy the animals to become more sustainable, if you can't grow the gardens, then let's look at 5 things that you should be purchasing right now and putting on the shelf. 5 top 5 best canned foods to put on the shelf. And you can buy these weekly. Buy just these 5 weekly for the next 2 or 3 months. It's not a lot of money, 10 to 15 bucks, and you're done. And that's it. Let's go through this list. Number 1, canned tuna. This is one. It's high in protein, has about 30 grams per 100 grams of tuna, meaning 30 grams of protein per 100 grams. Unbelievable quality. Has omega-3 fatty acids. Tuna is calorie dense and can be eaten straight from the can or can be mixed in other facets. But ultimately is ready to eat, heavy protein. This is part of our diet, especially when I'm on carnivore. Tuna is a big part of that. It has everything I need. I don't want to live off tuna, but it's something that I could definitely add to a meal to really add protein. This is a cheap, economic way to put protein in your diet. And most tuna that's not in any kind of chemicals and it's just natural forms, not in oil, but just in straight water, can last 5 to 10 to even 15 years on the shelf. Number 2, canned beans. This would be things like black beans, kidney beans, red beans, chili beans. These beans are, again, packed with protein. They're good with fiber, and they have a lot of other nutrients and minerals in them compared to just like a green pea. They're a complex carb. You can add them to anything and any other meal. You can mix beans. You know when they say rice and beans, this is the beans they're talking about. Again, on the shelf, you can buy the dried version, but you can buy the canned version that are ready to eat. There's nothing wrong with buying dried rice or dried beans. They last longer, but ultimately you have to have a way to hydrate them and make food out of them. You can pop a thing of beans open and eat them. Now, it may not be the best meal, but it is something that is great to have on the shelf. $1.33, I think, for the typical organic can of beans at Walmart. Please go buy some beans. Number 3, canned tomatoes. Now, this is one thing that we buy a lot of. Now, we raise our own tomatoes. We can our own tomatoes. We make sauces, paste, all that stuff with our own tomatoes. We powder even the skins to make a tomato paste later on when we're cooking. But ultimately, we buy a lot of tomato sauce and tomato paste. We buy them in big bulk versions of it at places like Costco, Whole Foods, Azure, places like that. The organic version, it lasts for, again, 30 years if you really needed it to. Put them in cool, dry places, and they will last. Tomatoes are something that can be added to any meal. You're getting a heavy vitamin C. It is the basis for tons of stews, soups, and other meals. You can make a meal with the beans and even with some of the other meats that we're going to be talking about. Do not miss out on having canned tomatoes. It's one of the most economic things that you can purchase and put on your shelf. I'm not saying, open it up and eat some tomato paste, but you can, and this is a good thing to have. Number 4, this is probably the biggest game changer. Now, we started doing our own. We can chicken. Canned chicken is a game changer because, again, like the tuna, it's extremely good for you and beneficial when it comes to a lean protein. Now, we can our own. We raise our own and can our own. But if you can't, right next to the tuna, there's canned chicken, and you could usually purchase it for $2 or $3. It's usually a little bit more than canned tuna, but it will be better for a lot of palates because a lot of people don't like fish. Chicken may be the best canned meat that you can purchase that's going to be more widely sought after versus canned tuna. There are so many times that, especially with me on carnivore and trying to get my protein up, that I take our canned chicken, pop the top, and just eat it straight out. We cook ours, and so therefore it's ready to go. It's meals ready to eat. If you talk about independence and sustainability, having food on the shelf is a good thing. All the problems we've talked about, having food on the shelf kind of helps you get through those things. I always tell people, be out of debt, have some money put in the bank, and have some food and water, and then a way to defend it, and you pretty much are gonna be okay. COVID didn't change a lot of things for us because we had these things in place. We had food. We didn't really have to go get anything because we had so much of this canned food already on the shelf. Number 4 would be canned chicken. Number 5 would be canned meat, as in canned chili. I don't say this as in I eat it, but I think any kind of canned meat, even some of the ones that are processed, would be still good to have. I know a lot of people like Spam and the deviled ham and all that stuff. It's pretty gross to me personally, I'm sorry. But to be honest with you, it is a form of protein. Watch the sodium intake, watch the preservatives. But that's why I'd say stay with canned chili. Canned chili is already ready to eat. It's mixed up. It usually has a lot of, again, protein in it, but also has carbs and fats made into the chilies. It has vegetables, it has beans, and it has your protein source. So buy some canned chili. It's something you can pop atop and eat. The reason I want to bring these up, and you're like, well, Colby, this has nothing to do with the rest of the video. Everything about sustainability, prepping, and independence has to do with the times we live in. People get mad at us because we talk about our Christianity, we talk about our faith, we talk about the world problems, politics. All that deals with prepping. At the same time, prepping deals with all that because when we know what's coming, when we know what is around the corner, when we see the dangers that are coming, spiritual, physical, mental, or psychological, or even chemical, like the sprays, then I know if I have food on the shelf, I'm not as worried about it. 5 things that you should purchase along with the problems that you see that we talked about in this video. Please, guys, check out my other content. Our goal is to build more stockpile videos, but also talk about the current events. We want you to become more independent. Then that way you're not worried about some of the stuff that we've been talking about the last few days. Guys, thank you so much for watching. We hope that you got something out of this video. If you did, please give us a thumbs up. It means the world to us. God bless.